More than a week of Kabul airport being besieged by thousands desperate to flee, Afghanistan's new rulers say they will let no more Afghans through.
The extension was unilateral by the side of the United States. It was a violation of the agreement. We want them to evacuate all foreign nationals by 31st August, and we are not in favour of allowing Afghans to leave.
Former Afghan soldiers, former interpreters, ordinary Afghans all have followed the same perilous escape route in their thousands, with Taliban checkpoints one of their biggest hurdles to fleeing the regime. The Taliban says crowds at the airport should now go home, where it says their safety is guaranteed. That's unlikely to reassure those who have already battled their way through. The Taliban has not said if the block on Afghans going to the airport is temporary or permanent, but they say they are not in favour of Afghans leaving and will not allow them. But the Western evacuation mission continues. In the skies above the Afghan capital, there is a steady drumbeat of big Western military transport planes arriving and departing in a race against the clock with an uncertain end time.
There are a very large number of Afghans, some of whom are genuinely in fear of their life because they have worked for the British and other forces during the 20 years of this campaign. And they generally are nervous that if they are left behind, the Taliban will find them and terrible things will happen.
Is there anything more that British or international forces can do to get people into the airport?
Unless someone is contemplating, and they're really not, using force to go and get people in Kabul. This will rely, as ever, on the cooperation of the Taliban to let people with the right documents through, no matter how strongly they wish they weren't leaving.
Operation Pitting is still bringing people into the UK. The RAF has now flown more than 8,400 people out of Kabul, more than 4,000 of those Afghans and their families, including former interpreters. On the ground of Kabul airport, where US forces are in control, it is far more orderly than outside the perimeter wall, but it's still a hugely challenging operation.
Rest assured that my crews and my people are working as hard as possible to get as many people out as possible. It is very busy in the air, so there's a lot of aircraft. So, in terms of military airlift, this is as big as it gets and has been for a long period of time. And certainly over my 30-odd years in the military, I don't think I've seen an airlift as large and complex as this. So the key really is coordination and make sure the pilots and the crews are safe as we sort of land and deal with the people.
The challenges only look to be getting greater. Now, Britain and its allies must be ready to get themselves out at any time.
If I were in PGHQ now, the first thing I would be doing is making sure the evacuation continues as it is, that the maximum number of people that we can fly out are getting out safely. The second thing I would be doing is I'd want to know that when the evacuation is going to finish, that I have clearly worked out how the last diplomat, the last soldier, the last piece of equipment is got out safely. And the third thing I would be doing is I'd be flexible in case there is an extension. Is there a way of staying for longer to get more people out?
How long do you think it will take to extract this evacuation operation and the British diplomats once the last flight of citizens has been taken out by the UK?
Well, I think it's at least 24 hours, could be 36 hours, because it's just the number of people you've got to get on planes. Those are very tricky last few hours will be a bit tense, and they will fundamentally rely on the Taliban keeping away and just wanting to wave us off until we've gone.
The simple fact is, the Taliban's always been able to decide who gets to Kabul airport and how long the Western evacuation flights can run. With cooperation fracturing, the hopes of those wanting to be evacuated are fading. James Hurst, Forces News.